Good morning from Trapani. I'm here in Sicily on the northwest corner in a small city by the sea called Trapani. It's the start of the Sicily Divide. It's a 460 kilometer long route that takes me from the northwest corner down to Catania on the southeast coast. It's going to take me about 7 days, 8 maybe if I'm going a bit slow. It goes through some really interesting places, some towns that were fully destroyed by earthquakes, some that were destroyed by the Allied invasion during World War II, and there's even one of those towns where you can buy a house for €1. So I'm really looking forward to getting going. Going to be a bit of a slog most of the days. I think there's a lot of hills here. In recent years, Sicily would have been a very poor place, and because of that, less work, so a lot of younger people have left to go to Italy mainland, to go to Europe for work. Because of that, a lot of the smaller rural villages in central Sicily have been completely depopulated, with schools closing and no young people there to keep it alive. So the Sicily Divide aims to link a lot of these places together to try and bring people and money through it to regenerate these towns. And so it's this regenerative tourism that I'm really interested in seeing, and seeing how cycling can help towns come back alive again. We've seen it in New Zealand with Rotorua, an old mining town that was very depopulated after the mine closed. It's now one of the biggest places to go mountain biking in the world. And the Sicily Divide is run by 2 people. They do it just for the passion of doing it, so it's great to see people doing it and linking towns together, working with hotels, B&Bs, restaurants to create places for people cycling the divide to stay, and just really making it an easy thing for people to come and do to help bring these towns back to life as well. So the first stage of this starts here in Trapani, and it takes me to a town called Ghibellina, or Nuveo Ghibellina as it's known now. So the original Ghibellina was destroyed in an earthquake, which is a bit of a recurring theme it seems along this route. And they rebuilt it, but they rebuilt it as an open-air gallery. So there's lots of kind of interesting architecture and design choices they made there. So I'm looking forward to seeing that in person. It's about 70-75 kilometers away, and about 800 meters of climbing. So kind of easing myself into it, which is good because the rest of the days are similar lengths but double the climbing. So yeah, it's good to get there and get going and see if I can do it and stuff. So yeah, I've just made it up now to a town called Vitas, and I pulled in and the place just looks completely abandoned. A lot of buildings run down, nobody around, a lot of them. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And the people have been so nice so far. Stopping for a chat on the side of the road. So yeah, this is one of the towns that the trail comes through to try and bring a little bit of money through to help bring back work and people to these places. I've just reached the end point of day 1. I'm in a place called Ghibellina, or actually it's called Ghibellina Nuveo. So the new Ghibellina, the original one was destroyed in an earthquake and they rebuilt the town not too far away where I am now, and they also decided to rebuild it as an outdoor gallery. So there's stuff like this all throughout the city, so it's completely different from the towns I passed through earlier on. I'm going to go for a little walk through and see what I can see. There's such a difference here between the architecture and the layout of the cities and the towns. The ones I've seen today have been very traditional, like very, very old. This place has had a lot of people come and try and settle it. There was ancient Greeks ancient Romans, Punics, everybody's kind of been through Sicily trying to get a hold of it. And this is just in complete contrast to anything that I've seen. And there's plenty to look at here. But to start a show, so I've been told, is the church. So let's go check it out. Ghibellina, because of all the art and design and architecture here, it attracts a lot of photographers. There's photography events and competitions throughout the year. And the lead designer of this entire project, even though he's not from here, has been requested to be buried here when he dies. And I'm very out of breath after that cycle, so these stairs are a bit of a struggle. And here we are. Definitely not your normal church. Coming down this tiny entranceway. This massive globe just opens up. You have a seating area, like a coliseum or something. Cool. And on the inside of this globe is the church itself. So looking from the inside, the altar is just in front of the inner of that globe. Ghibellina was pretty high on my list of things to see on this trip, so first day knocked one out. It's brilliant. I just sitting here. I've never been in a place that anything like it. It's so small as well, and all the stuff is being used. So I don't know if you can hear it, but there's people inside the church singing. I think there's kids, some group is on, and even coming through the bridge that's actively in use. It's part of the town here, rather than it just being a thing that tourists come and see. It's brilliant. Now, if you're going to rebuild a town that's been destroyed by an earthquake, this isn't a bad way to do it. Welcome to day 2 of the Sicily Divide. I left Ghibellina this morning and I'm heading to a place called Sambuca. Yesterday was good. It was good to get in and kind of see what it's all like over here. It took a little while to get out into the middle of nowhere, but definitely out here now. And today started off with a pretty big climb. Kind of seeing pretty sweaty from it still. Lots of off-road so far, but I've done about half the day's climbing in about quarter of the day's distance, so the rest should be much easier than this morning. Passing through a forest park at the moment, plenty of dirt and gravel, and it's about to pull off here now onto the road and then onto the next few little sets of towns. From one Ghibellina to another, this is the original Ghibellina. In 1968 it was destroyed in an earthquake along with 2 other towns around here. They estimate that the earthquake killed in total almost 400 people. So when the town was destroyed, they rebuilt it where I stayed last night. And here they poured concrete into the foundations of all the buildings that were destroyed, so you can still walk the old town. And it just looks incredible. It really wasn't a small town. And the way that they filled in the concrete here just goes to kind of show you the scale of the place. You're really just surrounded by it. You get much more of a better feel for it than if it was just the foundations left in the ground. It's like a modern Pompeii, really. They preserved so much of the place. It's somewhere that you'd likely just drive by and maybe suspect there was an earthquake here with the ruins around, but the way that they've made it into a monument, like this is just incredible. Really, really one of the most impressive places I've ever been. Would love to be in that meeting when someone pitched this, because I would have sounded mental. And it is, but it's great. There's 2 more towns passing through, all destroyed by the same earthquake, all contributing to that death toll. But this is the only one that's made a monument like this to the dead. So I'm getting towards the end of day 2. So far, it's been brilliant. A lot of climbing, but nothing mental. And then the ascents have just been so good, like long, sweeping down mountainsides. A lot of gravel descents as well, some bone rattlers. And I've been passing through a lot of towns, and you can see it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. And a lot of these towns are empty, there's nobody in them. And they have churches, shops, parks, playgrounds, pubs, everything there, but it was rare to see anybody. Even coming up here, even though I'm on the back roads, you could be cycling half an hour and no car passes you by. Yeah, so you can really see that these places are just void of people, and how something like this, even me passing through every stop spending €4 or €5 on some water and a snack, whatever, even that, there's estimated to be 5,000 people coming through here this year on the Sicily Divide in 2023. Every spending a €5 at each stop, there's just so much more money coming through, which then means people can stay and live here. If the people are attracted here, they might come and open another business here, slowly but surely trying to bring people back into the region. Right, so I've made it to a vineyard outside a town called Sambuca, where I'm staying tonight in a little B&B. It's just another way that this place is adapting to tourism coming through, and just another way for people to generate income here that works alongside the Sicily Divide, that really kind of promotes the area and just makes it more attractive to people to come and visit. Today's was class. Loads of climbing, which normally not a fan of, but it was manageable, and the descents were brilliant, and so much to see along the way. Brilliant day. Couple of tough days coming up, so I'm just going to head into town now and get something to eat, and then go to bed very, very early, because I've always been saying every day in this trip I'm going to get up earlier, so hopefully tomorrow I get up earlier. Just at the start of day 3, the Sicily Divide. I'm in a town called San Margherita, I think, and I'm heading to another town that I just don't know the name, I've forgotten. I think it's going to be one of the tougher days today, which I wasn't expecting, but I obviously just didn't look at the maps properly. And we're starting off the day at the top of this town. So plenty of mountains to get going. I think I'm taking this bridge across and down around. I hope, because that road over there looks like it could get a little bit busy. But yeah, the route so far has been great in terms of keeping you off busy roads. Easy enough morning, and I think once you get to the halfway mark, it's pretty much all uphill, and then the last 15 kilometers or so are very uphill. So I need to get going and start making a dent in it. There's the bike. I haven't given you a tour of the bike yet. So it's Trek Checkpoint. Carbon fork aluminium frame on it. Nice wee build. Perfect for what I'm doing anyway. And then load it up with San Marco's new bag, saddle bag, a frame bag, top tube bag, and then a little handlebar bag as well. This bit that I'm on now was an old railway line. You can see the tunnel behind me here, And they are planning to pave this and turn it into a cycleway. And I think the section I'm on now is about 9 kilometers long. And I think there's more after this as well. So again, you can see what a trail like this is doing for a local economy if they're willing to put money into paving this. Everywhere I'm going, people are asking me, oh, you're on the Sicily Divide, everything. So it really is kind of part of the tourism industry here now already. So I'm going to get going because there's a pigeon behind me with no head and there's something rustling in the bushes. So I won't stop too long. Ciao. Today's been very tough. The end is in sight. It's on the other side of that lake, way up that hill, is where I think I'm staying tonight. God, I hope so. It's about another hour and a half to go. And that's the end of day 3. Yeah, so a really tough day. Bit of a brutal day. Absolutely wrecked. So just gonna get a good night's sleep and get up and get after it again tomorrow. I think tomorrow is meant to be the easiest day of the 7, so it's definitely coming at a good time for me. Yeah, just wrecked. I'll show you around the town in the morning. Oh, this is the morning of the 4th day of the Sicily Divide. I'm in San Santo Catania, heading for Montevideo, I think it's called. Yesterday was a really tough day. And today's meant to be one of the easier days, so definitely well needed. This town has been one of the busier towns that I've been through. There's plenty open, plenty of people around. And this town itself has got a history of emigration and depopulation. There's a population of 4,000 people here, but the city of Tampa, there is about 160,000 people who can trace their heritage to this town. So Sicily played a big part in the Italian-American emigration, that whole culture over there. There's towns here called Corleone, Syracuse. A lot of places in America have picked up names from places in Sicily. And you do see it as well, driving around. There's definitely a couple of American tourists who must be retracing their roots around here. Ooh, today has not been easy. It is freezing cold. Got soaking wet. Tried to be smart, thinking I could outrun the rain that was coming in, but it didn't work out. So I spent the past hour sitting in a little coffee shop slash snooker hall place trying to warm up. So I'm going to get going again now. Hopefully stop again in the next 20 kilometers or so to try to warm up again. This is Mussomeli. It's about the halfway mark on the whole tour, so feeling good about that. Way behind schedule again today, and I really wanted to show you around here because this is one of the towns that is trying to fight the depopulation as well by offering up the homes for €1. And you do have to commit to certain things. You have to renovate them within 3 months. You have to spend usually 20 to 50 grand renovating them. And I wanted to show you around the old part of the town, but I'm really behind schedule and I need to get in before it gets very dark, which is about an hour and a half. And I've got about an hour and a half of cycling left, so next time. So the easiest day of the trip turned out to be not very easy. Just the weather was just terrible. Just there was so much rain to begin with, and then winds after that. So I think I left my place at 9:30 this morning and I got in here to Montedero at 5. So it's a long old day on the bike. Staying in an old school here. Take you for a little tour through it now. So the school is closed because of depopulation. There's no more kids living here. There's no young families living here. Having enough kids to keep the school open, so they've turned it into a hotel or B&B to try and attract tourists back. Again, regenerate with money and tourism to bring people back, which will then bring the kids back. Okay, alright, time to eat. I'm going to take a rest day tomorrow, so I'll actually be able to show you the town fully when I'm not trying to beat the daylight, because I got in here and it was dark. Oh, let's go check out the church here. Just while I have you at night time. Yeah, so there are plenty of churches like this dotted throughout the towns, and even the new churches seem to be getting a whole load of money, because you go into towns where there's a lot of rundown houses and not many services, it seems, but yet they have these massive modern churches. Okay, and that is me for the night. I'm gonna go eat some more, and then go and eat more probably. Okay, so today is a rest day. I'm wrecked, just legs are too heavy, too stiff, and just the thought of taking on the hardest day just didn't seem too appealing, and I haven't actually spent much time in any of the towns along the route, so I'm going to take the day off and wander around Montedero for the day. So the cycle so far is going great, really. Like the people in Sicily are brilliant, really kind and generous. And one thing I've noticed here, which kind of links in with the whole idea of tourism not being a big thing in this region, is that very few people speak English, which is good. You know, if you're going to a country, you need to learn a few phrases just to get by and just to not be ignorant, really. But I've never been somewhere in Europe where I'm going to say 90% of people that I've come past don't speak a word of it. So it's goes to show this region of Europe, from a tourism point of view, hasn't really had much development in that sense. And that's what the Sicily Divide is trying to do, is trying to link up these places. Last night I was checking into B&B and the guy was just telling the story that there's just no kids here anymore, so the school was redundant, and to try and bring it back to life, bring tourism in, bring money in, bring jobs in, and it's kind of the pattern that I'm seeing everywhere through here. And as much as I'm enjoying this, it's definitely not for everyone. One, you need to have a pretty decent level of fitness to enjoy it. There are some parts where it's just been a slog for me because I've just been drinking pints and eating sweets over Christmas. So there's some training and planning needs to go into this. And also, if you don't like dogs, this is definitely not for you. You're going through a lot of farmland, and sheep farming is pretty popular here. Sheep are protected by sheepdogs, and they'll protect the sheep. So if you get anywhere near them, they do chase you, they come after you, they bark at you. You get very close. They don't bite if you kind of throw the head a little bit, but they're absolutely fine. Once you get past their property, they leave you alone. And from my experience, I've been chased a couple of times, no biting, but if you were afraid of dogs, you would definitely be afraid. As I'm about halfway through this, I've definitely been seeing some changes in landscapes. Starting off at Trapani, wasn't that hilly. So let's look at down here. This is other way. So as I've been going through on each day, the landscapes have been changing. In Trapani, the start, it wasn't that hilly. It was a lot of wide open spaces. And I started moving into the mountains where there was a lot of olive farms. And as I'm coming into through the central part of Sicily, I've noticed that the landscape gets really aggressive. You can see where the earth has moved from all the earthquakes. You can even see the strata of the rocks like spiking up, which makes it a bit more inhospitable. And this is the region where there's a lot of mines and where you can see the farming changes. So up here there's quite a lot more of the sheep farmers because the land is just very rugged and it must be quite hard to work, especially with machines. You do see some out there, and you do see a lot of people farming by hand as well. But when the landscape is this difficult to work with, there's a lot more of livestock farming. Ciao. There are little shrines like this dotted across Sicily, and this one seems to have some offerings of oranges around it, and then decorated up for Christmas as well. This is the mining museum, the sulfur mining museum. I must say the architecture in Sicily is great. The new stuff is brilliant. That is Montedoro. I'm staying in the church. There's the place where I had food last night. And tomorrow I'm heading way over there, up all those hills. Now, this mine was not a very good place to work. It was cramped, dangerous, got very, very hot underground, and they used a lot of children to work there. The children went sometimes by choice, and sometimes the mine owner would approach poor families in town and buy the children from them, forcing them to work in the mines. This is the memorial to those who worked in the mines. Tucked away under the trees here is the woman. And this land was once under Muslim rule, and even though people in the town were Christian at the time of the mine, many still wore this kind of hijab-like face covering. The mine stayed open until Mussolini came into power. At the time, all the sulfur, or a lot of the sulfur, was exported, particularly over to the US. And when Mussolini came into power, the US refused to import from here. So ultimately, the mine closed down. Part of the town is old, part of the town is new. You can see here up the back towards the church, the higher parts are older buildings, and then the lower ones are newer. That's because the mines went under the town and collapsed on multiple occasions, taking the town with it, and had to be rebuilt. So while the mine brought in loads of money for the mine owners, it didn't do a whole lot of great for the town in the long term. Killing children, forcing children to work basically as slaves if they were sold, and destroying buildings in the process. This is the morning of day 5 up to Enna. Enna is the highest capital of the Italian counties or provinces. I'm not too sure which one it is. It's about 1,000 meters above sea level. About 200 here, I think. But there's a lot up and down before I get there. So this is the day I definitely have the most mental block with. So yeah, just kind of need to get stuck into it and start chipping away at it. Should take me about 6 hours alone, because I'm that slow. But yeah, definitely need the rest day here at the school. Yeah, so I better get stuck into this because I don't want to be cycling in the dark again. It's bin day in Serra de Falco, and if you live way up there, you don't want to come down and put your bins out. So you put it on the pulley system. It's all the way up, all the way down the street. Day 5 done. That's the big one. I definitely built it up too much in my head, and it was grand. It was tough, you know, but manageable and doable, and got through it at a decent speed. And up here in Enna now, which is the highest capital of any commune in Italy. And yeah, I felt like it coming up there, so gonna eat, sleep, and then get ready for the penultimate day tomorrow. So kind of into the home stretch now, 5/7 of it done, guts of the distance, the guts of the climbing all done. So yeah, starting to really see the finishing line now. And this is where I'm staying tonight. It's in a old, and he said barn or shed where they used to keep animals. He said this is where they used to drink from. So what does it look like from the highest commune capital in Italy? Let's check it out. Ooh. Day 6 starts now. Really starting to feel like the end of it. I've done the guts of the climbing. I think for the first 20k today it's pretty much all downhill. Yeah, so definitely feeling like I'm starting to have achieved something here. One of the big milestones I set out initially when I was kind of planning a trip and looking for something to do was I wanted to cycle across Sicily and see Mount Etna, which I should be able to do today quite soon on, I think. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Apart from that, just I'm looking forward to going downhill, descending more than ascending today. And yeah, just, you know, really into the rhythm of it now. So I'm gonna get started on it and leave Enna and head for Regalbulto. So day 6 yesterday was a bit of a non-event. It was just kind of overcast and rainy, and it was just one of those days you just had to get from point A to point B kind of as quickly as possible. Saw the foothills of Mount Etna, but yeah, just the clouds were too low, couldn't really see anything, so made it to Regalbulto and I'll take you for a little walk around here now. So this town was invaded during World War II, and there's quite a bit of kind of recognition of that around here. It looks like it was invaded by Canadian armed forces, and there's a lot of kind of joint memorials between the two. Part of the trail I was on yesterday was part of, I think it's called the Husky Walk, memorial walk for Italian and Canadian soldiers lost. I can just imagine how scary it would have been to have been invading in here with all these little kind of hidey holes. And here's the memorial. So it looks like the 26th of July 1943. This is the soldiers who died. So on to today now. This is the last day. Seems a bit mad, kind of come around quite quick, but also very slow as well. Yeah, like it's kind of zipped by the somewhat the easier days on paper have been the harder ones, and then the harder ones on paper have been not as bad, but that's probably more to do with my head and how I'm approaching stuff. So it's nice and clear at the moment. It is meant to rain at some stage, so I'm going to get going, and there is a town about an hour and a half away where supposedly there's a good lookout point for Mount Etna, so I'm going to stop there for breakfast. And then after that should be another 2.5 hours into Catania. Not much climbing today at all, barely half of what was yesterday, and yeah, looking forward to getting back into a city and just being done, just ticking it off the list and getting to the end point. There is Mount Etna hidden behind all those clouds and rain, so I actually haven't seen it properly. Coming around from the other side you can see a little bit of snow on it, but yeah, most of it's covered in cloud, and I think that rain has gone away from me. Yeah, seems to be. Anyway, I'm heading down that bit of road, and maybe that town over there through the valley over the other side. Paterno's the next place I'm heading for. That will kind of make sense. It's about 20 kilometers away. Maybe that's it. More rain coming in there. Some sun, rain, rain. No, rain, rain, rain. Lots of rain. So I'm going to get going. I have made it to the finish line. Feels good. It's a whole load of cycling done. And yeah, just delighted we finished it. Just to complete something, you know, take something off the list. And to see Catania as well. There's so much more going on here compared to the places I have been. All those little towns passed through, all those meters climbed, kilometers cycled. I think it came to about 470-ish kilometers and about 8,000 meters or so. And then just coming back in here, it's just one big straight all the way in. It was just, yeah, just a nice way to finish it. So even in the few minutes of sitting here, I've heard people speaking French. I asked the Swedish man to take my photo. I think I've heard Russian or something similar to it. So there's a lot of tourists here. And I guess that's what the Sicily Divide is trying to do, is to try and pull some people away from places like this, where tourism is definitely needed, but into smaller towns and villages where it's really, really needed and appreciated and makes a huge difference. I just had a look on Google Maps where I am now and where I started from, and there's a good lot of pinching and scrolling to do to get back to Trapani, so the weight or the size of this cycle isn't lost on me now at all. I think it's time for a good sit down. I think today's the day I'll have a beer, so I've been good throughout. Even after that climb up to Enna, I was very tempted, but I said I'd hold off until now. So now it's going to be even nicer. And it's great to get into Catania now where it's still daylight. It's the other times I was kind of coming in when the sun was set, and then it was much harder to see what was going on, but I'll get a good feel for the place now. Fuck, it's a windy island.